It's a funny thing about certain games that everybody likes. Some of them just go the way of the dinosaur and become extinct despite legions of fans clamoring for new games over the course of multiple decades. One such game that has gone down this path in particularly egregious fashion is the Dino Crisis series. Sure, Dino Crisis 3 wasn't very good, but 1 and 2 are still regarded as excellent games by most and are more than enough proof of the fact that there's still a lot of juice left in that IP if Capcom were only willing to allocate the appropriate amount of resources to resuscitate it with a new game. Especially now, with all of the fanfare surrounding the revival of the Jurassic Park franchise, you'd think it would be the single best opportunity the series has ever had to come back to life, but alas, Capcom seems, for whatever reason, completely focused on other things. That's their decision to make, but it will leave the door open for others to take the helm. Perhaps Hashbane Interactive is that developer, and perhaps their game Instinction is that game. A quick note before we move forward. Please consider subscribing and enabling all notifications by clicking the bell icon to get new video updates. And while you're at it, also, please click the like button if you enjoy the video. It really helps us out. And with that out of the way, let's begin. If you've ever had a chance to view the Instinction trailer yourself, perhaps you would be inclined to agree. The trailer is short and light on details. But one thing is very clear. This could very well be the Dino Crisis game that we've been waiting on all this time. According to Hashbane's description of their first game, Instinction is the next-generation action-adventure horror game with extinct creatures. You can play alone or in a team of 3, switch up your perspective from first or third-person view, and ultimately use your combat and survival skills to progress through multiple objectives in an open-ended world. All of this sounds very exciting, but it is made even more so by the clear emphasis being put on environmental variety. The game will be semi-open world and include deep lakes, grassy plains, research facilities, thick forests that all contain various objectives and points of interest that you or your team will uncover and engage with. They also go out of their way to mention side quests are a part of the experience, so this isn't looking like your old Dino Crisis game as much as it is a methodical blend of the ideas that made Dino Crisis so great and more modern game mechanics that are designed around the expectations of modern gamers. This is an interesting direction to take, as I would imagine a full-throated spiritual successor to Dino Crisis would more closely resemble a game like Dead Space. That's largely linear in nature, with a little exploring here and there. Given what we see in the trailer in terms of environments and level designs, there do appear to be some spooky dark corridors as well, which do certainly hit the notes of a classic Dino Crisis experience. But I think the fact that they're trying to expand on those ideas with semi-open world mechanics is actually the more interesting piece of information here. I'm all for throwbacks and clever nostalgia-driven experiences, but taking classic ideas and settings and evolving them with your own twists and turns and viewing them through the lens of modern gaming often adds up to a better experience than things that are simply looking to emulate something that's 20 years old to make a quick buck. The developer has also gone out of their way to make sure that we know that they are putting an emphasis on customization for this game as well. Everything from weapons to outfits, various facets of the heads-up display to the size of the subtitles are things that they want to be customizable for the players. And that's something that you have to respect. Weapon customization in particular seems to be highlighted in the information that is currently available, with reticles, skins, and attachments all being mentioned as things you can tinker with. And the options scale all the way from rocket launchers to melee weapons, so seeing how far they really end up taking this will be interesting to see, and whether we're just talking about superficial stuff or things that actually affect how weapons are used and their effectiveness in different situations. While customization has become fairly commonplace in a lot of games like this, for the studio to be as new as it is and making their first game, it's commendable that they're choosing to include as many options as possible in a lot of areas that many games from far more seasoned developers still don't really do. Plus, it's just another great sign that they are closely listening to what players want and are interested in not only making the game that they want to make, but also the game that we want to play. The game's structure will largely be broken up into different biomes. This is where the variety of environmental locations comes into play. Different biomes have different sorts of prehistoric enemies to contend with, areas to explore, objectives to accomplish, you get the idea. But some of these biomes may warrant a second or third trip, as different items you acquire might make exploration in certain spots more tenable, i.e. finding a ventilator that allows for more extensive underwater exploration. While they don't go very deep into it on their website, Hashbane does explicitly mention that the prehistoric creatures we will be up against are not limited to just dinosaurs. Whether that means we'll be dealing with woolly mammoths or Neanderthals is something we're going to have to keep an eye on, but the fact that they purposefully said we should expect more than just dinosaurs is enough to raise a few eyebrows on its own. Whatever Instinction ends up being, it's impossible to ignore the appetite for this sort of game at this point. With Turok and Dino Crisis seemingly stuck in an ice age of their own, it's a huge untapped market that will absolutely reward the first developer that can come through with a satisfying game that does the things it needs to do to activate the Dino Crisis audience and please modern gaming sensibilities at the same time. The fact that Capcom has left that door open for so long without walking through it themselves is to their own detriment, and it's clearly money that they could be making right now, but perhaps it's best left in the hands of somebody else with fresher ideas. Perhaps the spirit of Dino Crisis is better off being imitated and evolved upon by a newer studio rather than bottled up in the same IP with all the sky-high expectations that would involve. Perhaps Instinction just might be the Dino Crisis game we've been waiting for. And that brings us to the end of the video. A quick request, we upload new videos every single day, and if you like what we're doing, please consider subscribing. It really helps us out. Also, don't forget to enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon so that you can receive daily video updates. Thanks for watching.